Looking back, I think it was my arrogance that was my undoing. I was a new, up-and-coming lawyer at Tanner, Bender, and Jones. The new golden boy, 10 years out of Harvard. I was actively recruited to work in New York corporate law at TB&J. When it comes to law, corporate law is where the big money is, and we have handled cases for some of the biggest hedge fund companies on Wall Street. I was quickly moving towards partnership. I have a wonderful wife, Sharon, 2 small children, and a secretary, Tracy, who I love to have sex with on my desk. Her husband, Jason, is in the military and spends a lot of time on business trips. I don't know him yet, but I know he's home on a 30-day vacation and will be coming to the office Christmas party that evening. As far as I know, he is a private, not even an officer, and this is my chance to show my superiority over the boy. There's no reason for this, I don't even know him, but I could never resist the opportunity to show off a little. Of course, not openly, especially when Sharon is around, but just for comparison. I have money, education, style, things that he simply cannot compete with. The party is formal, and I doubt his rented tuxedo can compete with mine, made in Italy for $5,000. I had a few words with the guards to ensure he didn't cause any problems. I still remember his first appearance in the ballroom. Think Brad Pitt, only prettier and fitter. He's about 28 or 29, and he's dressed in a Marine Corps dress uniform that seems to have grown on him like a second skin. It made all of us, with our Italian designers and fancy tuxedos, seem shabby. I don't think there was a woman under 50, and probably quite a few women over 50, whose eyes weren't fixed on him as he walked in and looked around. It seemed to me that he could see everything at once, and I realized that he not only noted, but also recognized the presence of an invisible guard. The acquaintance took place, and shaking his hand, I realized that from a distance he looked like Brad Pitt, but up close he looked more menacing. His face is young, but his eyes are clear, decisive, and focused. Soon we were all sitting together. Tables for 8 people were set in the ballroom. Tracy, my secretary, sits at my desk with my wife, another older lawyer, his secretary, and their spouses. Jason and Tracy are sitting across from me and my wife. "What do you do in the Marine Corps, Mr. Smith?" my wife asked him. "Call me Jason, please, Mrs. Brady," he replied. "I lead a squad of reconnaissance snipers. It consists of 3 groups of reconnaissance snipers." "What is a squad of reconnaissance snipers?" "Basically, each squad consists of 3 people," he answered. "A sniper, a spotter, and an assistant. The sniper is the shooter. The spotter selects targets, checks the results, and supports the sniper, and the assistant watches their backs. Thus, while the sniper and spotter are focused on the enemy in front, he covers their backs and sides from attack. Then he looked straight at me to continue. In a way, it's like a marriage. Each team member depends on the other, and this requires a high level of trust. The sniper cannot cover his own back, so he trusts his assistant to do it. Both the sniper and the spotter are trained scout snipers, so they can switch roles as needed, but in reality it is a team of 3, and each must trust the other completely. "So you don't shoot yourself? Is this what snipers do?" asked my wife. "Not so much anymore. I used to be the leading sniper on the team, but now I do it less and less." Tracy and I exchanged glances. "Have you shot at people before?" did she ask him. "Yes, I have 43 confirmed kills," he replied. "You killed 43 people?" she asked. "No, honey," he replied. She breathed a sigh of relief. "I said that I have 43 confirmed murders. Over the years, I've probably killed 5 or 10 times that amount. Usually, when it comes to reconnaissance, there is no record of the people you kill. As soon as there are more than 100 of them, you begin to lose count. I must say that this salmon is very tasty. You don't seem to be eating anything, honey. Is everything okay?" "I just didn't know you killed people. I mean, I knew you were in the Marines, but I thought you were just a clerk or something like that." "No, my dear, that's why I enlisted instead of getting an officer's rank. I wanted to qualify as a reconnaissance sniper, but officers are not trained for this. I thought that maybe I could regain control of the situation, so I entered into a conversation. 'Don't you need a higher education to become an officer?' I asked him, He looked at me like I was a worm. I have 2 diplomas, in Greek classics and in Stoic philosophy. When this trip is over, I will most likely finish my doctoral dissertation and take up teaching, he said. Indeed? I asked him. Where did you go to college? In Cambridge. Any fool can get into Harvard, and Cambridge probably has the best classics program in the world. Actually, teaching is not the most profitable job. Would you like to try your hand at something that brings in more money? He looked at me again. How much money does a person need? In addition, my older brothers seem to be not averse to earning money and cover this part of the expenses for me. You may know them, John and James Taylor. Tri-J Hedge Fund? Do your brothers own Tri-J? They are one of our largest clients. I had a slight, unpleasant feeling in my stomach. If it ever turns out that I seduced the wife of the brother of the owners of Tri-J, my career will be over. Somewhat. Tri-J is James, John, and Jason. When they wanted to start Tri-J, we each took $500 million from our trust fund as seed money and pooled it together. So technically, we each own a third. But it costs billions, I told him. Tracy looked at him with interest. Do you have a trust fund of $500 million? She asked him. He looked at her silently and shook his head a little sadly. I said I took $500 million for their startup, even though the trust technically owns shares of Tri-J. I think there was about $400 million left there at the time, but I don't know how much it's worth now. Probably 2 or 3 billion. So we are billionaires? She asked. I do, he answered. However, in a divorce, you won't get anything from the trust, so all you're really entitled to is my army pay. What kind of divorce? The one I'm suing for adultery. Did you really think that I would allow you to have an affair with this idiot? He said, pointing at me. Sharon and I will apply next week. I'm not having an affair, she said. Indeed? So those videos were some kind of training? He looked at me. I shared them with your wife. She also uses them in divorce. I was rapidly losing control of the situation and had to do something to regain it. You cannot use these videos. I don't care who you paid. A law firm is privately owned. He gave me that damn smile again, more of a smirk. Naturally, I can. Uncle John gave me permission to film in your office, so everything is legal and no problem. Uncle John? Yes, John Tanner, senior partner and namesake of Tanner, Bender, and Jones, is married to my father's younger sister, Sylvia. He wasn't too happy with what you were doing during work hours and on company premises. I think he will do everything possible to get your license revoked. I saw him nod to someone to the side, and suddenly a security man appeared on each side of me. I saw 2 more from Tracy's side. Please come with us, sir, they said. Jason looked at Tracy slightly sadly. Please come with these gentlemen, my dear. They have some documents for both of you. And don't even think about returning home. I changed the locks in the apartment. We were taken out of the room into the hallway where we were both given divorce papers, and I was given a restraining order. John Tanner couldn't disbar me, but he fired me and made sure I couldn't get a job in New York anymore. So I ended up back in Kentucky, where I'm chasing ambulances around to get victims to get money from them, the person or company at fault. During the divorce, Sharon ripped me off. I think Jason paid for her lawyers and no one took my case. In the end, I defended myself, and I was found guilty. Child support was calculated based on the average income for the previous 5 years, and I now earn 1/10 of that. I think Tracy ended up staying with her parents. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.